to the Italian Football Podcast.
Yeah, let's move on then to the Champions League. So the big question is, but one, psychologically, how much will this 4-0 result affect both teams going into the tie next week? First leg is in Milan, isn't it? It's at San Siro, the first leg, and the second leg is. So. Have I got that correct? And the second leg is at Naples. So how much will this affect that tie psychologically? And the question I want to ask you is: do Milan have Napoli's number ahead of this Champions League tie? Is it just a style issue? Because I mean, they've beaten them, and they've not just beaten them; they've absolutely battered them. But
they did batter them.
If you rewatch the game earlier on in the season, Milan were a much better team in that game. People forget that, but Napoli got the win. They were just very lucky to win that game. Napoli, Milan outplayed Napoli for a lot of that match at San Siro early in the season. So, is it the case of like a boxing match where they say in boxing styles make fights, and certain boxers are suited to certain other boxers?
I'll take your word for it because I know absolutely nothing about boxing. I'm not interested. So you could literally be telling me a bunch of lies and I'd just be nodding because I know nothing about it.
Okay. Well, is it a case?
You can tell me, Milan's... in boxing they say marshmallows are the... you just can make shit up. I wouldn't know how...
Okay. Well, in boxing you get certain fighters that are just their style suits another fight.
Yeah, I know what you mean. Yeah, I get.
So is it a case here with Milan that does their style just suit Napoli's style?
I think that there could be an element of that as well. But the fact that, I keep coming back to wake-up call, Napoli Spalletti won't exactly have much difficulty getting these guys back to earth, getting them to realize that they're not the best team in Europe, that actually they've got quite a bit of work to do, and that they got a Champions League tie next week, that they're going to go away to Milan to play a Milan who absolutely smashed them. So that in and of itself will be a wake-up call and a concentration. So I think from that aspect, it's good for Napoli because they will come out at that game concentrated, having a point to prove. For Milan, it's absolutely because an advantage in the sense that, well, we have their number. Look what we did to them just last week, not months ago, just last week. So I think it will have an impact, but who will benefit more from it? I think that's impossible.
It's got to be Milan. It has to be Milan, surely.
Well,
again, I go back to the result.
Psychologically, I'm inclined to agree with you. Yes,
it has to be. It has to be massive. It has to be. Yeah, that's it. It's the battering. If it was a 1-0, I think it would have been more minimal. If it had been like Inter beating them or Lazio beating them, I think it's not the biggest deal. I still think it's important psychologically, but it's not like 4-0. Though, these kind of heavy defeats. I think Saki said it post-match as well. These kind of heavy defeats, they can weigh heavily on you. And I'm looking at. Yesterday I was covering the Manchester United game against Newcastle. Newcastle beat them 2-0. They absolutely battered them. They totally played them off the park. United looked like a shell of the United, that we saw just a month ago. Since they got hammered, United were flying. They won the cup, the League Cup. Then they got hammered 7-0 by Liverpool at Anfield. Since then, they've been absolutely horrible. They've not scored in 3 games in a row in the Premier League. They're now fighting for top 4. There's the very real risk now. They might not even get in the top 4. Everything is like, there's concern now at Man United. And that 7-0 has had such an effect psychologically on them. And this is a team that has been, let's be honest, since you count out those first 2 games, they've done so well under Ten Hag. Is Ten Hag the best manager since Ferguson? They're in running for all the cups. They're going to get in the top 4. They're really building something. Next year, they're going to possibly win the league. And now all of a sudden they look broken. And so I'm not saying that's going to happen with Napoli because Napoli have always bounced back this season. They bounced back after Inter, they bounced back after Lazio, and they've always gone on long runs after every single. But this is the biggest test yet because they haven't been battered and just destroyed off the park as they have, earlier on in the season. So, that is, it's a test for them. It's definitely a big test for them. And the other thing I would say, Nima, is they need to keep their heads because this is the first time You know, even with those other losses, the first time I've seen Napoli look rattled, you know, not just on the pitch, but, you know, off the pitch as well. I mean, that Rafael Leao celebration, you know, the clown celebration that he did, I mean, it's wound them up. Why are they getting wound up by that? You know, like Maldini said, they're going to win the league. Why are they letting that get to them? You know, why is Spalletti? I have to criticise him. Why is he getting involved? Why is he causing a problem out of all this? You know, that's the old Napoli mentality, or like the old Roma mentality. You know, the mentality of the teams that are not it's not befitting of a Juventus or a Milan or Inter. That's kind of always held back the teams like Napoli and Roma from winning more trophies in the past. They don't have that. I hate to say it because I hate corporations, but you know, that corporate kind of side to them. Do you know what I mean? Why are they getting rattled? So, you know, there's that. And also, Nima, we have to raise this. The Napoli fans shot themselves in the foot. What the hell are they doing at such a pivotal moment of the season? Why are they doing a silent protest? And they're fighting with each other as well. I mean, I think the fans have shot themselves in the foot as well.
Well, I mean, they were upset at the ticket prices. That's why they were doing that. And I think that they were, you know, it was the ticket prices. They were pissed off with that, and that's something that's always gone on between De Laurentiis and the fans. They don't. I mean, if you remember, we had Vincenzo. You know, everyone who, you know, subscribes to the pod as a patron. Last summer, we had Vincenzo Credendino from local Naples TV and Calcio Napoli and the site on TV, and you know, they were ready to revolt last summer. Then, before they signed all those players, they had a good mercato, and then they went on this thing. And so there's always been a little bit of bad blood between the fans and De Laurentiis. And I think, I don't know if they shot themselves in the foot. I think it was just, it's not exactly good.
Adriano Del Monte, our good friend, was at the game. He was covering this match. And he said, I've spoken to him, and he said that only the Milan fans could be heard during the game. So it was basically a home game for Milan. Now, I just think, listen, I'm all for protesting. You know me. I'm the most anti-establishment, anti-authority person you'll find in the whole world. You know, I'm all for protesting and fighting the system. Right? So you know, I'm totally for protesting, but there's ways about protesting, and be bloody smart about it. You've got Milan in the Champions League in 10 days, right? You're playing Milan. Think psychologically. Do not give your opponent any kind of psychological advantage at all. Don't even give them a sniff. Go in for the kill. Do not be silent against Milan and give Milan the initiative. Now, Milan might have won this game anyway, even with the crowd, but it would have been a hell of a lot harder with the whole 80,000 Maradona, intimidating them. I can be certain of that. So I think they've made a huge own goal here. Then you had the fans fighting with each other as well.
Saw that. But we don't even know. We don't know what that is about. So we should.
Apparently, it was over how to protest. It was about how to protest.
Is that if that's true? That is the most Neapolitan thing I have ever heard in my life. Let's have a fight amongst ourselves about how to protest. I love it. I love Naples. I really love Naples. I love the south of Italy. It is my kind of people. Like this is the chaos. I just love it. I absolutely love it. I love that.
No, it is funny. But I mean, I just think it's stupidity from the Napoli fans. Why didn't they just wait? I mean, you know, or if they wanted to protest for, you know, I don't know, protest for 5 minutes if you really wanted to do it during the game, or protest before the game, or protest at the training ground, or I don't know, you know, wait till the Scudetto's won, or do it in a game not against Milan, against your opponents that are coming up.
I think that's why they did it, to show that they've got power and the influence they've got. And I think now, if De Laurentiis has a bit of diplomacy in him, he doesn't go like a bulldozer and declare war on them, but instead.
Yeah. But if Milan go out in the Champions League now, Napoli fans have to accept some responsibility. It might only be minimal responsibility, but they have to accept some responsibility because Napoli have got smashed here, and they've given Milan all the confidence in the world going into that game, and you know the Napoli fans helped Milan win the game. I wouldn't
go that far. I really wouldn't go that far. Like, to me, that is a little bit too much. Like, I wouldn't say they helped Milan, but they didn't help Napoli. But
same thing, really, isn't it?
No,
I mean, you play at home. You want your fans to help you. That's your advantage of the home fans playing at home. I just think it's ridiculous. I think it's just
no. I thought the timing of it was a bit silly. But I think it was one of those nights when everything. Look, what is it I always say on this pod, that with Naples, when things go well, they fly off into space, and when things go to hell, they go straight down to Satan's balls. Like, it's just there's no in between with Napoli, and that night everything went right to Satan's testicles. Like, they were that's how bad it went, and that's Naples in a nutshell. And you have to be able to handle that. And Spalletti's so far been able to really, really channel that and handle that madness and that energy really well. I want to give him the benefit of the doubt before saying too much. I want to wait and see how they play.
The final thing I would say though is I do think that Napoli absolutely need Osimhen back for the Champions League time. I mean, he seems to think he will be back, but I mean, we'll see. We don't really know. He obviously faces a little bit of a battle to be back for it, but they absolutely need him back.
No, he's pivotal. He's the best striker. He's the best striker in the league, and one of the best in the world this season, based on his performance and form. Anyone who misses one of the best strikers in the world would be weakened.
I also think they might need the first goal in that tie as well, because if Milan get the first goal, then psychologically again, that could be.
Napoli opening themselves again and getting stretched. No, you're right.
Yeah,